I'm Scotty. You're not. Yes, we're at the couch today because I got a stack of stuff, stack of movies on my recording area. So we're at the couch today. We're talking about the 2006 remake of The Hills Have Eyes, directed by Alexander Raja. But yes, it came out 2006, the year of my graduation from high school. So it's old, like me, like myself. Well, it's not older than me, but you know what I mean. Sorry, my goatee's kind of bugging me today. But yes, and this is very much sort of like the original, but I feel this movie is handled a little bit better. I do believe this movie's handled a little bit better. First of all, there are better makeup effects on the cannibal mutant creatures in this one. Taken in the vein of, I can see the what's the word I'm looking for? The inspiration. That they could have taken inspiration from Wrong Turn, especially with the mutated people aspect of this. But the basic plot is the same as the original. This family is going on a vacation. They're going to California, but instead they're going through New Mexico, desert instead of Nevada. So there's that, which coming from Ohio, that makes more sense to go down through New Mexico and go that way instead of going all the way over here to Nevada and go down. But you know, and we got some recognizable actors in this, where I only recognize Dee Wallace in the last one. You got Aaron Stanford, Will Traveler himself, also Pyro from the X-Men movies. He's also been in 12 Monkeys, and Nikita. I've not watched either one of those shows, but I know he was in them. Emily the Raven from Lost and Santa's Sleigh. Ted Levine from Silence of the Lambs, and Candy Cane, come on, Candy Cane. That's right, Joyride. Vanessa Shaw from Hocus Pocus, and Bobby, the actor plays Bobby. I've seen him in something before, but I can't put it, you know. But even the mutants are very familiar faces. Michael Bailey Smith plays Pluto, who I know from Charmed. Billy Drago plays Papa Jupiter, who I know from Charmed. And then you have the guy from Land of the Dead, and I've seen him in other things. He plays, what's the name? I can't think of the name. He's essentially Mars, but he's not Mars. You know what I'm saying? He's essentially Mars, but he's not called Mars. They actually have Mercury and Venus, two characters named Mercury and Venus, but they're little kids. And they still have Ruby in the movie. And if there's one thing I can say, is that I think they dropped the ball when it came to the villain characters in this film. In the original Wes Craven film, they were handled better. They were characters. They were actual characters. They had backstory. They, you know, right away you have Ruby having a conversation with the gas station attendant. In the original film was named Fred, and here he's just gas station attendant. But you know, you had that backstory. They were real characters. They had conversations. Here, aside from a few lines here and there, they're just the villains. They're just there to cause havoc. They're the villains, and you get some kind of explanation where there was a nuclear test site that people were living in this place, and they wanted to leave, and they didn't leave, so the thing dropped, and they mutated. But only in movies can a nuclear bomb drop and cause mutation, where in real life they fucking die. But you know, who knows? Papa Jupiter is way downplayed. He shows up, doesn't show up until Big Bob is killed with the fire. It's set on fire. He's the one that sets Big Bob on fire. And then he doesn't show up again later until you get the whole trailer thing with Bobby and Brenda. And that's just his character. The other ones are the main, like, the guy from Land of the Dead, he's the main, the not Mars guy. He's really the guy going around calling the shots, really. But you got the same plot points. The Beauty gets out, Bobby goes after her, she dies, finds the carcass, she's killed, and he finds the carcass. Beast is in revenge mode for the rest of the movie. You know, at one point, the mutated people show up, and this one they outright kill the other two. Like, the mom is shot in the chest and she dies, and her body is taken or disappears or some, I don't know. One point is like, oh, she's gone, she's gone. I'm just like, what? Huh? Did I miss something? Did they take her? I don't know. And then Vanessa Shaw's character, who's basically you also gets shot in the fucking head. And there's just this was 2006. This was in the torture porn era, right in the middle, smack dab in the middle of it. And so they have to include a rape scene, and it's Brenda this time. It's done It's done somewhat off screen. It's like he starts to do it, and then you see when it focuses on the other person, and he's kind of in the background. You don't really see it, so you know it's not really graphic. It's not like Last House on the Left. It's not really graphic. And then the guy starts. Vanessa Shaw comes in, pulls down, one half of her top, and breastfeeds on her. And then that's when the mom walks in and she gets shot and then shoots Vanessa Shaw in the head. And, yeah. And the movie then diverges a little bit into its own thing. Instead of, like, caves and stuff, they live in this derelict, rundown, nuclear town. Like in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of Crystal Skull, where he finds that town that's a nuclear bomb test site. That's where these creatures live. And so he goes through it. He just starts hunting down these fuckers, one after one, as he takes them down and just getting revenge. And I do like the story they tell with this character of Doug, is that he's not the type of character like his father-in-law, who is all gung-ho. He's a former cop. He's got guns and stuff, and he's like, no, I don't touch guns. I don't want anything to do with guns. I'm a nice person. I don't touch that stuff, But then then he's forced to pick up a gun and go hunting with Beast, and really just, I think his character's handled it better than Mr. Mustache in the first one. It just, I think he handled better, and it doesn't have that abrupt of an ending. It's actually, and then they actually come together. The end, it was intended for the original, so yeah. But I like to know who is watching them. It's implied there's another watching them, and having looked up the cast of the second film, I know none of them are in there, which is already going to be a complaint of mine for that, is that, especially since the next film takes place a year, like it came out a year after this one, you think, oh, that's because they started filming almost right away, and so they have all the cast. No, none of the cast members come back fast, Also, Ruby is very downplayed in this. Ruby was sort of like a redemptive character in the original, right? She barely does anything in this movie. You get the beginning where the gas station attendant guy is walking around and he goes, Ruby, Ruby, but there's no conversation between them. It's just hinted that she was there and that she's watching him, right? And then she takes the guy's sweatshirt later on. And then you see her walking around like in the middle of the movie. And in the end, she does sort of have a redemptive thing, but she just tackles the not Mars guy off the cliff and they both die. Whereas by the end of the first one, it was implied that, because the whole thing with her in the original was she wanted to escape. She wanted to have a normal life. She wanted to get out. And so that's why she helped them. And she felt remorse for what her family was doing. And just all that, but no, there's no real character building with the mutant freaks in this at all. Like, at all. It's just they're the bad guys and they're gonna kill people and excuse me, and that's it. That's all they're gonna do. We don't need a backstory for them. They're bad guys. They're just killing people. We give them a little bit of the nuclear fallout mutation story. That's all you need. You don't need any character development. You don't need any talking really between them. And really, when you have Billy Drago, probably one of the best guys to ever play a villain and ever have. If you want someone to spew out evil dialogue, Billy Drago is the one for it. And in fact, to the point that when I saw Tremors 4, I thought he was going to be the villain because he's so great as Balthazar. Balthazar? I think it's Balthazar. On Charmed, I thought, okay, he's the bad guy. But he's actually one of the good ones. And would you know it? He dies in that movie. Spoiler alert. It's the worst Tremors movie anyway, in my opinion. But, I don't really care. But, yeah, and he barely says a thing. And you don't have really barely any dialogue with these characters. But, on the other hand, I did like the gore effects in this. The gore is much better. I think the creatures look a lot better with the mutated effects and stuff. It's Greg Nicotero who plays one of the creatures, by the way. And I think it's done very well. And I would venture to say that I would put this movie above the original for me. The original, like, it's not that much better, but I can't see myself going back to that original. Maybe. This one I'm watching it. And one thing I can say is it's longer than the original, but it didn't really feel longer. Like, when I watched the first one, I found myself checking the time, like, a couple times. I checked to see what time it was. This one, I did maybe once. Just to see how much longer the movie I had. Oh, this movie's an hour and 48 minutes. Okay, sure. But it seemed to go by a little bit faster for me, at least. Maybe the pacing was better. In the original, there's not a big gap like in the original where they're just doing nothing. There is constant stuff going on. Even when they're stranded, there's talking. I mean, there's one scene you could take out where you have California Dreaming and then, like, Brenda's sunbathing and there's talking and he's trying to get cell service, which, yeah, this isn't that time where, okay, cell phones are a thing now, so we gotta show that it don't work. So, like, oh, they got no service. That's why I'm not able to use the cell phones. They're still trying to find a way. Nowadays, cell phones are so much better that they just have to destroy the cell phones right away. Or, just so they can have the realistic, be more realistic with that. But, yeah, I would say it's probably better than the original for me. I had better gore effects. I think, at least for the human characters, I think they were a little bit better. Brenda was way more tolerable than she was in the original. For me, they had more recognizable actors, and I think they were better actors. You know what I mean? It's just the mutants were downplayed quite a bit. These bad guys, they're just bad guys. There's no characteristics. There's no story with them other than they're mutant freaks. That's it. We don't need any dialogue with them really, other than get them, kill them, that sort of thing. So if there's one thing I can say was handled better than the original, it was the villains, but I still like this one better, but it's still going to sit firmly in the middle of the road for me. I don't think this franchise is anything that I'm going to brag about, to be honest, but middle of the road. It's fine. It's fine for what it is. So, what are your thoughts on The Hills Have Eyes remake? In the comments below, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hopefully, in my review for the second one, I will be back in my regular spot. But until then, thanks for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.